In this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how I color correct and color grade a music video inside DaVinci Resolve. Normally, I reserve content with this level of depth for my paid course, DIY Music Video Bootcamp. If you want to see more in-depth content, which will teach you exactly how to make your own DIY music video from beginning brainstorming to filming to editing to distribution, you can check out DIY Music Video Bootcamp below. And now let's open up DaVinci Resolve and I'll show you how to color correct and color grade a music video. I'm here inside DaVinci Resolve. I have my Dream Small project opened. This is a music video that I filmed a couple days ago. It's a cover song. It's just me singing it. I have done the rough cut already for my music video. You can see a little preview of it here. Always do your cutting before you do your color correcting. That's my recommendation. At least if you want to learn how to cut a music video well, you can check out DIY Music Video Bootcamp. I go in depth on that there. But it's generally best practice to cut your music video and then only color correct and color grade the clips you're actually going to be using. Before we go any further, I want to distinguish between color correcting and color grading. Color correcting is when you adjust the temperature, tint, and exposure settings on each clip so that they match. You can see here directly out of camera, they don't quite match. The lighting is slightly different. The coloring changed as the sun was going down. So I need to color correct these clips so that they match. And then color grading is when you add a specific look to all of your clips. So color correcting and color grading are two distinct processes. They both happen on the color page here in DaVinci Resolve, and they both happen on some nodes, but you always do color correcting first and then go back and color grade. I'm going to be doing a simple color grade on this music video. I'm not looking for anything complex, so I'm just going to build out a simple node tree. I'm going to hit Alt-S to add one node, and then I'm going to add 4 more for a total of 5 nodes. These last 3 nodes I'm going to use to build out my look, and I'm going to make them shared nodes. That means that they will apply not only to the clip they're on now, but to any other clip that I paste them onto. So I'll save this one as a shared node, and node 4 as a shared node, and node 3 as a shared node. So those are the 3 nodes where I'll do my color grading. Node 1 is where I'll do my color correcting, and node 2 is where I'll do any additional color correcting that I need to. Now, it's probably best practice to divide your color correcting over 3 nodes, one for white balance stuff, one for exposure, one for some contrast settings. If I was doing a complex grade, I would probably do that. I find that for something simple, it works just fine to have all 3 on the same node, and it simplifies the workflow slightly. I'm going to label node 1 CC for color correction. And now I'm going to take this node tree and apply it to all my clips. So I have it here on the first clip. I'm going to select the second clip and then go all the way to the end, hold the Shift key and select the last clip. Go back to the beginning, right click on the very first clip, which has that node tree on it, and hit Apply Grade. It's going to ask for confirmation that I want to replace the existing grades on those clips. I'm going to hit Replace. And now I can click on any of these clips and they have that node tree on them. So now I'm simply going to go through these clips and do some color correcting. I'm going to get rid of the LUTs pane here so that it's a little cleaner. I'm going to be looking for 2 primary things here. I'm going to be looking at the temperature and the exposure. I'm going to use the primary color wheels here to adjust my exposure. First thing I'm noticing is that this clip here is pretty blue compared to some of these others later as the sun went down. Also, there's a bunch more magenta in these as well. Also, a clip like this take here was a bunch darker than some of the others. So there's a few things I'm going to have to adjust. On this one here, I'm going to just warm that up a bit. You can see here I have my blue hidden because I'm behind it. Let me just move this momentarily. You can see that as I adjust the temperature in my parade scopes, I always like to have these open, my parade scopes are going to change, and I can use that to help out a little bit with dialing this in, but often I end up just eyeballing it, but definitely use the scopes to help you. I think we have these 2 matching with color temperature better than we had, and this one I'm just going to warm up slightly. This one here is of the same take. What I typically like to do is color correct one clip from each take and then just go through and apply that to all the clips from that take. This one here has a bunch of magenta. I'm just going to push this back towards green a little bit, not too far, but about like that for now. And I'm just going to try cooling this one down slightly. And I think that matches a little better. Same with this one here. I'm just going to actually apply the same grade from the previous clip to that one. I'm going to right click on this and apply grade. And that gets us close. Let's go with that for now. This one's also a bit darker, so I'm going to use my scopes here. I'm just going to bring the lift down slightly. I don't want to be crushing too many blacks, but I'm going to bring them down just about to 0 here. I'm going to take my gain and push that up. I don't want to be clipping with the highlights here, but I'm going to push that. We got a bit of pink up here in the sky, I think, which is why our reds are sitting a little higher. I could maybe push that towards blue just a bit more to balance that out. We're closer to even now. Same thing with this clip. I'm going to push the gain up and brighten that up and just pull the lift down slightly. Again, I'm watching that I'm not crushing my blacks or blowing out my highlights. I'm going to go back to the first clip and I'm just going to darken this one down a little bit. Now my highlights are blown out here completely because of the sky. So that's just the way this one's going to be. I don't want to push that too much. I'm going to reset that. I just push the gain a little bit there. Pushing it too much starts to look really, really bad. So actually, I might just leave that one as is. I'm going to bring up the gamma, which is like kind of the midtones. Just bring that up slightly. You can see that there's a lot of jumping back and forth. I'm trying to get these to match, and I'm just using these first bunch to get them down pat, and then I can apply that to the rest. I'm going to pull the lift down a little bit on this one and just boost the gain slightly to brighten up the high end, and then I think I'll pull up the gamma just a touch. I'm going to pull the lift down slightly on that one, and then same deal, I'm going to bring my gain up slightly just to brighten up the highlights, and I think I'm going to leave it at that. You can see our skin tones vary pretty significantly between this clip and this clip. Part of that is unfixable because as the sun goes lower, the lighting quality changes significantly. So part of that's just the way it is. I can push a little bit more magenta into this one, which will bring in a bit more color and it will get us closer. I'm going to push a bit more magenta into that as well. This clip here is obviously quite a bit darker. I'm going to go to this. This was from another take that I haven't touched yet. I'm going to brighten the gain up just a touch and then pull the gamma up, push the lift down just a little bit. This is simply a different type of shot with the backlight like that, so it's going to end up looking different than, say, this shot. For instance, that's just simply the way it is, but that gets us closer. I think I'm going to pull the lift down just a touch more. There's not any true blacks in this image except these little shadows here, but there's nothing of a black color, so I don't want to push that too far. I'm going to jump ahead to this clip here. I know I haven't touched any from this take yet, and I'm going to work on this one. This one's going to be tricky because it is really bright and blown out already, the sky there, but the rest of the image is dark. So I'm going to boost my gamma a bunch, and I think I'm going to pull the gain up just a bit more as well. It's going to blow out that sky a little more, which is fine because there's not much there anyways. And I'm going to pull down the darks just so we for sure don't lose them. Here's before and after, so that brightens it up a bunch. It's just kind of the nature of that shot. It's simply not going to match perfectly with the other shots, and that's fine. There's this clip here, which I haven't got any from this take yet, so I'm going to do a bit of work here. We're going to pull up the gain. There's quite a bit of magenta here. I'm going to push some green back into that, and that balances that out. You can see if I go back to no tint, the magenta is pretty high here, the reds. So I'm going to push that back, and that gets us closer. I'm going to experiment with the temperature here and just cool that one down slightly. So at this point, I have color corrected a clip from each take. Now, what I like to do is I like to go back to the edit page, and I'm just going to disable all of the video tracks except one, and then go back to the color page. And now this is only showing clips from that same take. And sometimes the lighting changes throughout that take. So that's why I like to look at all of these together. Typically, I can just apply that grade to all the clips and it'll be pretty close, and then I just have to do some little tweaks. So let's give this a try. I'll select the second clip and the last one with the shift key, right click on the one that is corrected and hit apply grade and replace. That puts that correction on all of those clips. I don't think the lighting changed significantly through that take. It changed slightly. As the sun was going down, it darkened a little bit. So I'm just going to boost the gain a little bit on these last two here. And we'll leave it at that. I'm going to now go back and grab the second take, enable that one, and to the color tab, and we'll look at the first one again. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I might just add a little bit more warmth to that and then apply that to all my clips and apply grade. I'm going to do this on the rest of my takes. Now I have all my clips color corrected. Of course, there'll be some tweaks I'll need to make as we go further adding the grade, but they're all much closer than they had been at least. Now I can go and start adding a color grade. So I'm going to do that on my shared node. I'm going to start with my first shared node. I can unlock this node so I can edit it. And there's a couple ways you can do a grade. If you're feeling kind of lazy and want to take the easy route, you could just throw a LUT on this. So for example, I could throw just a base LUT on this, or this brown aqua, which is kind of nasty, this teal orange look. I do not like this at all, but let's just see. I can double click. That applies to this shared node, and now that look gets applied to all my clips. Because it's a shared node, it's now on every clip. So I do not like that, so I'm going to right click and reset the node grade. I'm not going to take the LUT route. Instead, I'm going to build out my own custom grade. I'm going to start by working with the greens and just the greens. So I'm going to build a mask on shared node 1, which is node 3 in my tree here. I'm going for this desaturated warm with blue in the darks look for the grass. If that didn't make sense, I'll show you what I mean. To do this, I want to be able to work with just my greens. So I'm going to go to the qualifier tab and just click on the green, and that's going to start masking out some of the green. If I want to see what I'm masking out, I can click on the highlight, and that shows. Right now I don't have very much, so I'm going to go to the picker add and click around a few more times in the green until I have most of it selected. Okay, that's a pretty clean mask. There's a bit here, the brighter greens yet I'm going to add. I'm pretty happy with that. Now let's take a look and see how that looks on some of these other clips, just to make sure we're masking it properly. That is pretty clean there. In order to see this, I have to be clicked on the shared node on each of these. So it's still on the color correcting node from some of them. That's pretty good. A few of the dark parts here it's not getting, but that's fine. There's not much color information on those anyways. This darker clip here, let's see how it's doing. That's a pretty clean mask. And this one here. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So now any changes that I make here on node 3 will only affect the greens. I'm going to go back to the color wheels and we'll just go extreme with this so we can see. I'm going to crank that temperature, and now we've basically converted them to orange. And you can see this now applies to all the greens. I'm going to turn off the highlight so we can see it. And you can see that it's pretty good here. There's actually a part where it's missing some of the greens. I'm just going to add this in yet. So I'm going to go back to the qualifier, hit the picker add, and let's just add that yet. Oops, now it's getting my teeth. Let's grab the picker subtract. I'm just going to zoom in here on my teeth. I don't want them. I'm not sure why there's green on them, but that looks better. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Now, of course, I don't want that color grass. So we're going to reset the temperature. I'm going to desaturate the grass. Not completely, but about 30 or so. 50 is normal. And I'm going to go, well, let's go 35 for now. I'm going to push a bunch of warmth into the grass overall. In the lift on the greens, I'm going to push some blue into that. And then in the gain, I'm going to push some red. I'm going to just adjust our mask a bit again here because we are missing some spots here you can see that aren't being affected. So I'm going to go back to the picker add and just see if I can add these back in to it. There we go. There's before, which is a really green. There's after, which is a much warmer green. I want it not quite that warm. I'm going to tone off on the temperature a bit. I'm going to push this blue a little harder in the lift. And let's go back to this clip here. You can see we're starting to get that sort of desaturated look that has some blues in the dark, but is warmer in the highlights. I'm going to experiment with the saturation on this now. Let's just go back to normal saturation, which is 50. If we boost the saturation, that looks really nasty in my opinion. We're going to pull this down. We don't want it too extreme. I'm going to go with about 38 or so here for now. So you can see that just doing that has given us a kind of neat look. There's before with the pretty green greens, which I'm not a big fan of. And here's after with the bluer orange or greens. I'm going to leave it at that for the greens and move on to the rest of the look, and we'll come back and edit the greens as necessary. I'm going to move on to node 4 to build out the rest of my grade. Now, color grading is something that is really subject to opinion. Everybody has their own idea about what looks good. So always keep that in mind. What one person thinks looks good, the next person might not. And that's the nature of something like color grading. Personally, one thing I like to do is to boost the shadows and then push against that with the lift. Let me show you. I'm going to unlock this node so I can edit it. I'm going to boost the shadows, and you can see that brightens the image up. I'm going to boost them not to the extreme, maybe to about 40. And here's a before and after of that. Boosting the shadows boosts the shadows, but you can also end up losing a bit of your blacks. And so I like to push back against that just a bit with the lift to darken some of those blacks back down. Here is before and here is after. I'm going to do that on another clip. Let's check out this one here. Here's before and here's after. So it just brightens everything up slightly, but it leaves your blacks as black. I'm going to push that just a little bit harder. On that same node, I'm just going to play around with my color wheels a bit and experiment with pushing different colors into different places. This can simply take experimentation to really get dialed in, and there's not necessarily a rule to follow with this. It's just messing around and seeing what happens. I'm going to push some reds into the gamma, take the gain, and I'm just going to reset the gain. Double clicking will reset. That's not terrible there. I don't like the red quite that much. And let's go before and after. So I'm just pushing a bit more blue here into the lift and counteracting that with a bit of red in the gamma. Provides just a bit of color contrast. Let's see how that looks on this clip here, before and after. I don't mind that. What about this? You can see how much boosting the highlights change things on a clip like this. I don't know if I like quite so much blue on that. I think I'm just going to warm this whole node up just a little bit and see how that comes out. I'm actually liking that pretty good. This one here is still looking pretty dark, so I'm going to go back to this color correcting node, and I'm just going to boost the gamma on this one a bunch. It's also looking a little too blue in the grass there, so I'm going to warm that up just a bit. And actually just going to push a bit of red into the lift. This is my color corrector node that I'm editing again. So now I'm just editing way back there to help get the overall look to look the same. So we're quite a bit better there than we had been. Our greens are matching more significantly. Our skin tones are still a little different. That's partially just because the sun was lower in the sky, and that makes a different quality of light on the skin. So that gets me close. Usually what I like to do is go away from it and then come back with fresh eyes and make some tweaks again. But that gets me close. I'm going to do one final step, and I'm going to go to this last shared node, unlock it, and I like to just sharpen the image up a little bit. So on the blur tab, go to the sharpen panel, and I like to just sharpen it slightly. You can easily overdo this. I want to just pull this down. Usually 47 is about right. Here's before and after. On YouTube, you probably won't be able to see the difference there, but that just sharpens it up slightly. So that's how I color correct and color grade a music video. If you want to see more in-depth tutorials like this one on exactly how to set up and prepare for your first music video, how to film it, how to edit it, and how to distribute it, then you can check out DIY Music Video Bootcamp.